The desert moon of Vorthos, 9 stretched endlessly beneath a dying sun, its cracked violet sands shimmering as heat rippled from its surface. It was a forgotten world, too barren, too remote, and too dangerous for most travelers. But that isolation made it the perfect dumping ground for those considered useless, dangerous, or politically inconvenient. That was how the alien called Kether had arrived here, dragged out of a transport ship, half-conscious, and tossed onto the sands like broken cargo. Kether remembered the hiss of the ship's engines, the sting of metal restraints, and the cold voice of the guard who had delivered the final blow with his boot. Useless. Let the desert finish you. The ship left in a storm of dust and flame, abandoning Kether with 2 shattered limbs, a fractured carapace, and lungs barely holding in the planet's thin air. His vision dimmed in and out, his heart sputtering like a flickering star, and he accepted silently that this was where his life ended. He wasn't afraid of death, but he felt a quiet sorrow knowing it would be alone. Hours passed. Days blurred. He drifted in and out of consciousness as sandstorms buried and freed him in cycles. Once, he imagined hearing footsteps. Once, he thought he saw a shadow. But when he blinked again, the sky was empty, and the universe remained indifferent, until the human arrived. Beginning, the human who wasn't supposed to be there. Ava Rourke, a human exobiologist and former combat medic, had come to Vorthos. 9 for one reason: research. Dangerous worlds tended to hide rare biological samples, and rare samples meant rare credits. The kind she needed to buy back her stolen ship from the mercenaries who had seized it from her last year. Her small rover hummed across the violet sands as she scanned for subterranean fungi. But that's when her sensors pinged. Something alive, faint, but definitely not fungi. Ava frowned. "No one lives on Vorthos 9, she muttered. "So what in the stars is that?" She followed the signal across a dune until she spotted a mound half covered by dust. As she approached, she gasped. The mound wasn't a mound. It was a body, and not human. Kether species, the Rayleigh, were known throughout several systems, towering, armored, and deadly when provoked. If legends were true, one Rayleigh warrior could tear through a squadron of trained soldiers. But the creature lying before her wasn't a warrior. He looked broken, thin, starved. His obsidian carapace cracked in several places, and one of his 4 arms was twisted unnaturally beneath him. Ava scanned him again. The readings were faint, dangerously faint. "Hey," she whispered, not knowing if he could understand her. "You're still alive." One of Kether's remaining eyes fluttered open. His vision blurred into shapes, soft, warm, humanoid shapes. A voice followed, gentle, cautious. He had expected an enemy. Instead, he saw someone kneeling beside him, hands trembling not from fear, but from shock. "Why?" he rasped through shattered mandibles. "Why help me?" Ava exhaled. "Because you're alive." She didn't hesitate. She lifted him, though he was far heavier than he looked, and hauled him into her rover. It took every ounce of her strength, but she managed to strap him into the back and speed toward her camp. Behind them, the desert wind erased the last traces of where he'd lain. Middle, healing memories, and the truth of what happened. Ava's camp consisted of a reinforced habitat dome, supported by an array of solar generators. Inside, she laid Kether on her examination table. As she removed his damaged armor plates, she winced. "Who did this to you?" Kether said nothing. Pain stole most of his breath, but the memories stabbed at him from within. His own people. The Rayleigh Empire was built upon strength. Weakness was shame. Injury was dishonor. A warrior who could not stand was no longer Rayleigh. They became exiled. And exile meant death, usually slow, quiet, and unseen. Kether had once been a guard captain, one of the strongest of his battalion, but a plasma implosion during a border conflict had crippled him beyond their patience. As he lay in medical recovery, unable to rise, his commanding officer made a decision. "You are no longer fit to fight," the officer said. "Your life has no value to the Empire." Kether wasn't executed. That would be too merciful. Instead, he was transported across systems, dumped on this dead moon, and left without water or food. "Strength decides worth," the officer had said. "You have no worth." Ava didn't know the details, but the wounds told her enough. She sterilized his armor cracks, injected regenerative compounds, splinted the broken limbs, and set up oxygen flow. Human medical tools weren't designed for Rayleigh biology, and some treatments required risky improvising. But she refused to let him die. Over the next days, Kether drifted through pain, memory, and confusion. Each time he woke, he heard the same voice, warm and insistent. "You're safe. I've got you. You're healing faster than I expected." And sometimes, late at night, he heard something else, her humming softly while she worked. It was comforting, the alien who was never shown kindness. One evening, as Ava prepared nutrient injections, she found Kether watching her with his good eye. "You should not help me," he said quietly. "My kind do not honor debt to outsiders." "I'm not doing it for honor," she replied. "I'm doing it because you deserve care." He tilted his head faintly. "Humans are strange." Ava chuckled. "You wouldn't be the first to say that." As days became weeks, Kether slowly regained mobility. He could sit upright, move two of his arms, speak more clearly. And in that time, he learned things about Ava, small details she didn't realize she shared. She hated the taste of recycled water. She slept too little and worked too much. She missed her ship, the Polaris Dawn, more than she admitted. Most of all, she had a rare trait among humans. She cared deeply, even painfully, for strangers. Kether couldn't understand it. Among the Rayleigh, mercy was weakness. Care was vulnerability. Yet this small human, fragile, soft, unarmored, had risked her life on a desolate moon to save someone who might not even thank her. "Why? What do you gain from helping me?" Kether asked one night. Ava paused. Her expression softened. "Maybe I'm just tired of watching people suffer," she said. "Maybe I want to believe even broken things can heal." Kether wasn't sure he deserved such belief, but he wanted to. The threat they didn't see coming. One morning, as Kether helped Ava calibrate solar cells, a familiar rumble echoed across the desert sky. Ava looked up, shielding her eyes. A dropship, but not hers. Kether immediately recognized the markings, Rayleigh Elite insignia. His blood froze. "They are here," he whispered. "For me." Ava's heart pounded. "To finish the job." Kether nodded slowly. "They see my survival as defiance." Ava grabbed her rifle and activated defensive shields around the camp. She wasn't a soldier anymore, but she knew how to fight. However, Rayleigh soldiers weren't easy enemies. They were massive, armored, and trained from birth. Dust swirled as three warriors emerged from the landing craft, their silhouettes towering like obsidian statues. One of them stepped forward. His voice boomed across the desert. "Kether, you shamed the Empire by breathing. We end your suffering now." Ava aimed her rifle. "He's not dying today." The Rayleigh warriors laughed, a chilling metallic sound. "Stand aside, human," the leader said. "Your species is fragile. One swipe of our claws could break you." Ava didn't move. "You'll have to go through me." Kether's heart thundered. She didn't understand. These warriors were deadly, and she had no chance. He stepped forward, supporting himself despite the pain. "Leave her," Kether said. "Your fight is with me." "You cannot stand. You cannot fight," the leader mocked. "You are already dead." Kether closed his remaining eye. Once, that would have been true. But Ava had shown him something his people never had. Not strength, not fear, but worth. And even a broken alien could fight for what gave him purpose. Middle climax, the battle for survival. The Rewrote warriors charged. Ava fired first, her pulse shots striking the sand around them, barely slowing their advance. Their armor deflected most of the damage. She ducked behind equipment crates, trying to draw them away from Kether, but they were too fast. One warrior lunged at her, claws raised. Kether reacted on instinct. He grabbed a thermal conductor rod from the ground, lunged forward despite his half-healed limbs, and struck the warrior across the jaw. The impact cracked bone and sent the alien stumbling. Pain shot through every part of Kether's body, but he roared, a deep, resonant sound that echoed across the dunes. "You will not harm her." The other two warriors circled him. "You fight like a cripple." One sneered. Kether steadied himself. "Yet I still stand." The fight was brutal. The warriors struck with precision, and Kether's weakened body took blow after blow. But Ava fought beside him, firing blasts that disoriented and blinded their enemies at key moments. At one point, a Rewrote knocked Ava down and pinned her, claws inches from her throat. Kether surged with adrenaline. He tackled the warrior, using the last of his strength to drive the thermal rod into a gap in the creature's armor. The warrior fell. The final opponent tried to retreat toward the dropship, but Ava shot the fuel line. Flames erupted. The craft detonated in a violent explosion, sending shock waves across the desert. Silence followed. Kether collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. Ava rushed to him. "Kether, stay with me." He looked at her through dimming vision. "You risked your life for me." "So did you," she said. He rested a trembling hand on her shoulder, a gesture of Rewrote respect. "You have rewritten my fate, ending a new life, a new purpose." It took weeks to repair the damage from the battle, but they survived. And surprisingly, Kether's body began to heal faster now. Purpose, Ava learned, often accelerated Rewrote regeneration. One quiet evening, as they watched twin moons rise, Ava finally asked, "What do you want to do now? Your people won't accept you." Kether looked at the horizon. "I no longer seek acceptance," he said. "I seek meaning." He turned to her. "If you will allow it, I will stand by your side, protect you as you protected me, help you reclaim your ship, and help others as you helped me." Ava's chest warmed. "You don't owe me anything, Kether. I do not do this from debt," he said. "I do it from choice." She smiled. "Then welcome aboard." They left Vorthos 9 together, aboard a patched-up transport Ava had salvaged. As the desert moon shrank behind them, Kether felt something he hadn't felt since before the battles, before the exile, before the pain. Hope. A human, small, soft, fragile, had done what his own powerful people never could. Taught him that worth is not measured by strength, but by connection, a connection strong enough to rewrite fate.